Okay, so today we are installing the Fuel X Lite and DNA air filters. We're inside. I rode my bike to work today. It's all wet. Check this out. Oh. I mean, it doesn't look that bad on camera, but it is windy as all hell. It's very rainy. It's very gross. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about what we get in the kit. The Fuel X Lite. It's also called the, it's for the 2024 Svartpilen 401. It also has in brackets Euro 5. Euro 5 version, they told me, is the correct version. So you get the actual module. I like this. It has a good weight to it. The actual case seems like it's really well made. It's good construction. There are there's like a section here that looks like it would be good for zap strapping this to something. There's no other real mounting points other than here on the back, where also you could maybe zap strap that to something. So I'm gonna see how I'm gonna end up mounting it, but at least there's some options there to use some zap straps or something. So you got the actual module. Then you get a, depending on your bike, you'll get a sensor wiring harness. So on this one, we've got the connector that goes to the actual Fuel X Lite. We got the ground, which we'll check the instructions, probably goes to your bike ground. And then you've got two different sensor intercepts. So basically these are going to go in between the sensors on your bike, and you can see that they are labeled post-cat and pre-cat. So for those of you that don't know what a cat is, it's the catalytic converter. Oh, look! And they did include some stickers. They included two stickers like this. I already put one up on my wall. It's pretty good quality. I don't know how weatherproof it is though. There's a keychain, Fuel X keychain. This is mediocre quality, not too bad. And they actually give you some zap straps. I have zap straps myself, but I might end up just using these because they're nice and short. They look good. And of course, technical support. So if we look at the instructions, you can see how on some of the Fuel X Lites, they only have one sensor. So on the 2024 Svartpilen 401, you're going to have two. But like on this diagram, they provide like kind of generic installation instructions. And so you've got your lambda sensor. I don't know if you can read if that's in focus, but you've got a lambda sensor on your exhaust, and you're intercepting that with your Fuel X and then connecting that, which is going to modify the signal going back to your ECU. In this case, we're going to use both lambda sensors, and I don't think they have a diagram for that, but they do talk about it in here. And I'll show you what we're doing. Alright, so it's kind of dark down here, but basically we're on the right hand side of the bike in the front, and you can see that we have the exhaust, and there is the, like this bulge right here is the cat. I'm just being careful because I just rode my bike home. As far as I can tell, this is the catalytic converter here. And here we've got a oxygen sensor, otherwise known as a lambda sensor, and another sensor up here, oxygen sensor. Why is it called a lambda sensor? Well, lambda is the Greek letter that they use to designate for air-fuel ratio mixture. So sometimes they're called lambda sensors, sometimes they're called oxygen sensors. It's just to measure oxygen in the exhaust pre and post cat, to determine the air fuel mixture. And you can see if you follow the lines up, both of these go up, and those are the plugs that we're going to be intercepting. So what I'm going to be doing is figuring out where the best place to how to access that stuff, and how difficult it's going to be. If you look back here at the post-cat sensor, you can see where the cable actually goes up. Sorry, I'm trying to hold my flashlight at the same time. you can see where the cable goes up behind this frame piece, and there's actually a plug back here. And if you look closely, there's actually a tag that says Lambda right there. It's hard to see, Lambda. So here's the plug, the first plug, and I'm gonna go look for the second one. I'm gonna pull everything apart and then I'll show you how I hook it up. All right, so here's an update. I took the Lambda sensor that I showed you previously. I just carefully pinched the plastic that was here holding in, the clip that was holding it in, and I was able to kind of push it out to gain access to it. And I followed the pre-cat sensor that comes from in front, and I followed that line up. And when you follow it all the way up, it's actually right here behind this plastic cover. This plastic cover is mounted on like kind of a plastic, I don't want to call it a gasket, but it's like a plastic piece that is behind these two bolts. I'm not sure what this is. I'm going to look this up later because I want to be able to refer to things correctly. But it's behind here. I've loosened this before because you actually need to loosen this. Well, I mean, you don't need to. If you're creative, you can do it without it, but it's a lot easier to remove this right side fairing if you loosen these completely. What I did was I loosened this one a lot, and then I completely removed this bolt, and then I just rotated this out of the way, because that's how I got this plastic piece out of the way, because there's a screw right here that you need to remove the right side fairing. So I've done that previously, so this isn't that difficult to remove. So I'm going to pull that off right now and look at how I'm going to start wiring this thing up. And it looks like probably my best bet is going to be routing this underneath the right hand fairing and then to the battery compartment area. I did confirm that the ground lead coming out of the wiring harness for the Fuel X needs to go to your negative battery terminal. So you want to run it straight back to your battery. I will update you once I've removed the fairing. Removing the fairing isn't too hard. So all you need to do is take a size 5mm hex socket and or hex keys, and you're going to remove the four. Well, first of all, pop off your passenger seat, pop off the main seat. So all you need is your key to do that. Then you're going to do a number 5 hex socket to pull off the 4 bolts that are on your I don't know, your storage rack thing. You can just do the 2 bolts on the right hand side and then squeeze this thing out, but I've done that before, and to be honest with you, the amount of hassle it is to finagle that and work around that or whatever, it's not worth it. Just pull all 4 bolts out, pull the whole storage rack off, save yourself the trouble. Then there's going to be 1 bolt right here on the inside of the seat here that you need to undo on the fairing. There's going to be 1 up in the front, I believe, or no, this is the one at the front. And then back here, this part here, it's just a push fit, so it just fits in its own little socket. So you just pull that out, so that just pops right off. So yeah, 1 here, 1 here, and then the storage rack ones. So again, to get access to this one, it's best to remove this. I don't remember what size this is. I think it's 8mm. I'll let you know. And then you're going to want to loosen this as well to get access to this Lambda connector. And you can even see where it says Lambda kind of on that label right there. It's hard to see, but I can see it, and I'm telling you. So I'll get those steps done, and then we'll continue. Yeah, that'll be good. So as you can see, we're gonna run up from down here. We'll just follow the rest of the cables that are coming up behind there. And then we've got the other lambda sensor here, so we'll patch into that. And then we'll just follow all that cabling back here and get to the battery compartment by going underneath the tank. And yeah, we'll tie into the negative, and I'll find a place in here to put the actual Fuel X module. Okay, so I immediately ran into a problem. Like I said, I wanted to go up back here and follow the wiring, but this big fat plug doesn't fit through here, and it doesn't even fit through here. So these plugs aren't that much smaller like the ones coming down. They're actually pretty chonky as well, so I don't think that's a good option. So I do have an option for you. So there's two ways that you can go about this. First way is you're gonna run the wire beside, and you can always tie it off or zap strap it beside. I don't know about fitting the seat over here, if that would cause an issue. You could probably sneak the wire over here maybe, or to the side, or you could go under. You might be able to go like under somehow and go up. That's not the way I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna do it the hard way, or maybe the easy way, which is to unpin this connector. You see I've already pulled one out, and I'm gonna take a picture of all the wires first to make sure that I put all the wires in the right place. There are two tricky ones. There's a red one and kind of a light red one, so yeah, I'll have to be very careful about that. I'm going to show you how to unpin it, but basically we're going to disconnect all of the pins, and then we'll have just the tips of all the connectors, of all the pins with the wires without the connector on it. We're going to fish that through, and then when we get to the other side over here, we're going to put the pins back in, which is actually pretty easy. We just need to make sure we put everything back in its right place. So first of all, take a picture of your connector. If you forgot to take a picture, then here, I'll show you mine right now. So we've got the top part, like the clicky part that snaps in. So we're going to say that's the top. And we're going to look at the back of the top. And you can just pause the video once I get this sorted out. So on the very top, we've got left to right, gray, dark red, brown, and then green. And then underneath, I'm just going to keep it oriented with the top facing up. Underneath, from left to right, you've got purple, black, light red, which we'll call tomato, and then yellow, which is right here. So if you fuck up, or if I mess up, I can come back and watch this video. So to actually do this, first thing you need to do is take a deep breath and make sure that you're in a good mental place, because you do not want to be using any kind of force. You want to be very gentle, and you want to be delicate, because plastic breaks easily, and we do not want to break this stuff. So what I have is a small Phillips head, nothing special. Yeah, I don't even know what size this is, but it's a very small Phillips head. And if you look inside, you can see where this is going to be difficult to show you, but I will explain. So there's the actual pins, and if you look inside with the top facing up, you can see that the pin is like a flat piece, and then above the flat piece you can see the rest of the metal of the pin connector, which we can actually see here. So you've got this flat piece, and then you've got a bit of metal bits on top like this, see? And you can actually see this part in here, and at that top part there's like a little plastic tab basically. And what you want to do is, on that gray plastic tab that's above the metal, you're going to insert your screwdriver or pointy thing, and you're going to very gently push it back. and you do not want to force it. So just like kind of press it from down to up and push it back. And then you will be able to pull the pin out. Now, if you go to pull like I'm doing now and it's not coming, just stop. It's not disengaged yet. So go back and just gently push it back. Oh, I heard it click back in. So they click back in very easily. So you might have to put a little bit of pressure on your wire, like a little bit of backwards pressure. And of course, now that I'm on film, I won't be able to do it, but hang in with me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I was putting a little bit of pulling pressure, and I was putting my screwdriver in, and I was kind of going down to up and kind of pushing it back, but not forcing it, because you don't want to break that plastic tab. And then after you've pressed it back, the plastic tab is still in there. And then what will happen is when you go to repin your connector on the other side, you're just going to come back here. You're going to double or maybe triple check that you have the right wire for the right hole. Actually, this seems wrong already. Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, this is the top. And then, like I said, for example, the yellow was at the bottom right for the example that I did. And then you're going to make sure you look at your flat, and in this case, with this top here, the plastic tabs are on the bottom. They're not the way I was holding it before, with the tabs on the top. So with the plastic tabs on the bottom, you want to make sure that the metal part that's sticking out is going to go back in the same orientation so that it can click in. And all you're going to do is press it into the hole, and then you're going to just hold the wire. You don't need to use pliers, and you're going to gently press it in until you hear that click. And then when you hear a click, you can give the wire a tug on the back, just like this one that's already installed. Just give it a little bit of a tug, a firm tug, and just make sure that it's connected. And that's all there is to it. So that's a good way to be able to fish this through. I'm going to go ahead and unpin all the rest of them. I'm going to fish it through, and then we'll see how the rest goes. All right, so I'm just plugging away. I just wanted to tell everybody just to make sure that when you're... Okay, so I removed the other bolt on this thing, and I moved it out of the way. It looks like a voltage converter to me, like maybe to change the 12 volts from the alternator or the battery to a different voltage. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, but who knows? Could be something. We'll figure it out. Anyway, when you're connecting these connectors, they are quite tight. So when you plug it in, make sure... I actually had to remove it so I could get good leverage to push on both sides, but you want to make sure you push it all the way until it clicks, and then you give it a little tug just to make sure, because sometimes when you press it in, it could feel like it's fully seated, but when you have vibrations and stuff on your motorcycle, you don't want this to be coming loose later. So make sure you push it all the way to hear that click. Just pause your music for a minute while you're working and make sure you hear that click and make sure that it's working properly. So as you can see, I brought the cable through. I did tape the end of it. I didn't think to mention that before, but it's a lot easier if you tape the end with some electrical tape to fish it through. Okay, so I've repinned the connector, being very careful about where the colors are. Made sure I heard a click every time I pushed a pin in, and I have connected the ground cable to the battery. And now I'm going to do some cleanup. So I'm going to put the battery cover back on here, making sure not to pinch my cable. And my plan is basically just to shove the FuelX right here. There's like a little space right here. I know previous Svartpilen installs, you could just shove it between the battery and the rest of the stuff. But there's really no space in there that I can tell, so I'm just gonna put it here on the side. I don't even think I really need to put a zip tie on there. I think it's nice and comfy right there. So I'm just going to tidy up the wiring now. Okay, so here's the final install. I just tied this up for now using some wax string. You can buy this in black, but I would have to pay an arm and a leg to buy a whole roll of black, and I have white, so I'm just gonna leave it. One of the lambda sensors is still attached in its mount. I just connected it. The other one from the Fuel X and the return is just tucked up behind here inside. And then the cable goes up behind here, and I attached the post cat one first, and that way I had room here to work. This wasn't connected yet, and I just pushed it back here. It was kind of tricky to get all the cabling in, but I just pulled all the slack. So I connected this up, and then I pulled all the slack to get all the wiring out of the way. And then I went in and I actually fully removed whatever this is. I still can't figure it out. And I wanted to know so I could figure out what the torque was to reinstall it. So I'm just gonna tighten it up, make sure it's tight, maybe put some Loctite on there or something. And yeah, I did leave this connected, although it would have been easier to disconnect it. And so one of them I have here that I left in its mount, and then the other one I just squeezed in right here above it. I think that will be fine. And then again, I pulled the slack back here, so it's going behind this bar. This was quite tight to push the original wiring through, but I pushed it in between this wiring harness and the frame, and then it comes back here underneath this bracket, through the side and around, and then I kind of just tied up the wiring here a little bit. This is the actual connector for the Fuel X, and then the Fuel X itself is just sitting here beside the fuse box slash battery compartment. And of course, as you saw before, I did connect the negative lead from that wiring harness to the battery here. So that's pretty much it. You could add, like, I didn't actually use the zap straps to connect the Fuel X, since I just shoved it in there. So you could use the zip ties to clean up your wiring. You could use the zip ties to make sure nothing is touching the engine over here. You can use it to tidy up your wiring over here. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to move on to the air filter now. And then I'm going to do a test of the engine. Okay, so at the same time, I'm actually also going to be doing the DNA air filter kit. I ordered the kit for the 2024 Svartpilen 401. And inside of this kit, we have some extra air filter goo. It's got the instructions, how to service your air filter, installation instructions, some stickers. Very important to have stickers. Put those up on the wall. But essentially what's happening is, for the 2024 model, the air filter is on the side of the bike, and it's actually back here under the right hand side. Let me show you. So down here on the left hand side of the bike, I've already removed, there's a plastic piece that goes here. I'm going to be vinyl wrapping this anyway, and I had pulled off this side trim to work on my GPS tracker and all that kind of stuff. So I just pulled this off while I was there, but this basically installs more or less right here. So it kind of covers your air filter area. So that's why mine looks a little bit different than yours right now, but I will be reinstalling that later. So basically what you have to do is pull off your left hand trim, and then right here on the left hand side of the bike, kind of where your leg is coming down, this cover here is the air filter cover. And what we're going to be doing is replacing that with this cover. So instead of it being a solid cover, you're actually going to have a cover that is an air filter. It's still going to be mostly protected by the trim and the plastic that's on here, but it will be exposed. And so if you're washing your bike, you are going to need to be careful that you don't spray up in there, and I guess if it's raining really bad, I guess potentially you could get some water on it. I'm not too worried about it. We'll see what it looks like when everything's fully installed, but basically that's going to replace your cover to provide more airflow. And then of course your actual air filter, which is inside, is also going to be replaced with a high performance air filter. So so that's what's happening, and that's why I'm going to do the FuelX mod, because I don't want to mess up my fuel air ratio and confuse the stock ECU. So all of this should work really well together. So here's the left side removed. It's much the same as the right hand side. So you remove the luggage rack, and then there is one screw underneath here and one screw from the inside on here. So you just remove those, and then you can expose the air filter cover. I have some additional wiring here because I have a GPS tracker and extra manual kill switch that I installed, so don't worry about all that stuff. If you look at yours and you don't have these wires coming out, you will have this one back here, so make sure you don't pinch that when you install your cover. So yeah, I'm gonna get this off and then we'll start installing the air filter. So something funny came up. I was removing the air intake cover here because I want to vinyl wrap it, and I noticed that one of the mounting bolts for my frame slider from Evotech just snapped right off in the hole. I don't know if I can get the light in there properly, but yeah, it's just sheared right off inside. So that'll be a little project. I'll have to drill it out. Anyway, I emailed them and I asked them if they could maybe send me a replacement bolt. Sometimes things happen, and I don't want to... All their stuff is really high quality. It seems like really high manufacturing quality, and I'm really happy with the quality of all their parts and components, and I've gotten a lot of compliments. So I don't think it's any fault on their end. Sometimes things just happen. I did torque everything to the instructions, so it's not that like I over torqued it or anything, but yeah, anyway, we'll see what they say. Pretty nice filter, brand new. I know, I'm insane, but yeah, perfect. That actually looks pretty good quality. It's nice and shiny, and I think it's pretty cool that it's green. Okay, so the DNA air filters are pre-oiled from the factory, so you don't need to do any additional oiling. I do have the service kit, so I can do my own re-oiling, like cleaning. It does come with a little bit of grease, which they say to put around the perimeter to seal any gaps around the air filter, so I'll do that with some gloves on. And basically I'm just going to install the air filter. I believe it's going to go in like this, and then install the cover. And all it says for torque is do not over tighten, and so I will not. All right, cool. Okay, so you are not going to be using the stock cover anymore, so the air filter replaces this cover. So you can just set that aside. I'll set it aside with all my other stock stuff that I'm not using anymore. Keep in mind that, again, I do have a piece of plastic trim that I removed. I'm going to be putting it back after I wrap it, but this is going to be somewhat covered. There'll be a little bit sticking out. But yeah, so that's where how it's gonna look when you're finished. What else? I just put this back on. I'll put on the other stuff, but I just wanted to turn it on and see if everything worked okay. So let's see what it sounds like. I didn't record a pre-sound. Also, we're in my shed right now and the weather is really bad, so I can't run it for very long, but oh Jesus, yeah, it's raining like crazy outside. So anyway, I'll just open the door for a second, I'll run it, and then I'm gonna go inside and feed my dog. All right, neutral, here we go. Oh Jesus, I don't know if it's because we're inside, but it sounds louder. Looks like the idle revs are about the same. It sounds a little bit different, like it's kind of revving to a different cadence. Oh wow. Yeah, I noticed a difference. I don't know if you can. So we've got the Fuel X has some LEDs that are blinking. I don't know what the LEDs mean, but it seems like it's doing stuff. So if you know more about Fuel X's, then maybe you can tell us what those mean. Put it in the comments. Oh wow. It's got like this low end grunt that it didn't have before. Wow. Alright. Well, I like it a lot. I'll have to actually go riding on it and see, you know, see what it's actually like. But yeah, so far it worked out pretty good. I think the install went pretty good. No major issues. I'll let you know what I think about it later on Reddit and stuff like that, but I'm digging it. So I hope I helped you. I hope that all this info helped. I pretty much just used a number 5 hex socket was pretty much everything I used. The T-handle I used also just number 5 millimeter. Your torques for the side fairings, it's going to be 3.8 Newton meters on the inside screw and the one underneath, and it's going to be 10 Newton meters for the 4 on your luggage rack, I believe. Maybe check your owner's manual to double check. For the air filter, because DNA says don't over tighten it, I just tightened it and snugged them down. I didn't want to put Loctite on it because it is an air filter and you will be servicing it, but I just tightened it by feel. And what else on here? I don't know what the torque is for this. I'll have to figure it out, and hopefully I can put that in the comments. So maybe check the comments if you want the torque for that, or if you know what that component is and can help me find the torque, then put that in the comments, and then I'll look it up, and then I'll update my post. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, this is just the stock tools and stuff. I'm gonna keep this here. I usually just shove it in here, so there should still be space. I am adding more and more stuff, but there should be space right there for that. And yeah, we'll have to go riding soon. Just not today. All right, see ya.